Hello, beautiful people. Chris Maddox here from the Wild Woman Project, and I am coming today with a practice of sorts. And this practice is to support us in our theme of the moon cycle. And our theme of this current moon cycle, which started on May 25th and will end on May 22nd, is the contemplative mind. We've been in the question of how do we cultivate the contemplative mind? That is kind of like the highest form of intelligence, or you may even think of it like the deepest form of wisdom. So the contemplative mind is something that we are cultivating together. We're sort of practicing it. We're trying this on. And I find it extremely useful to work with a question. And I want to share a question that sort of came out of actually a difficult period. Very early in the spring, I just went through a very turbulent sort of phase. A lot of things in my life were essentially like not going to plan. Have you ever had that experience? When something you were planning or many things you were planning were sort of like missing the mark in some way, the mark of whatever you had decided was going to happen, your plan. So I had a lot of plans for early spring in all areas of my life. And it was like I was getting this initiation process of just like, what happens when your plans do not happen, when the unexpected sort of comes up. And it was an initiation because, oftentimes in life we may experience this in one area. But for me, during that period, it was like at every turn, it was like the unexpected. So at first it was pretty difficult, right? Because I'm a human being and, I take a lot of, pride in my good planning and, and I do plan, I'm a planner and I always have been. But what started to happen to me was a kind of, I want to say a softening. Like a sense like I was a stone in the river and the river was washing over me and slowly kind of softening my edges and things like that and sort of smoothing the stone of me. And that looked like this somewhat slow process of beginning to see what happens beyond the plan. Who am I in the moments when the things that I plan do not happen? Or I get like sort of side blinded or side swiped. So I started working with this question and came very organically when I was in that process, when I was in like the depth of it. And it was quite painful actually. It was really hard emotionally, like intense, very intense. And the question that sort of just organically emerged from in me was, what is perfect about this moment? What is perfect about this moment? So I started kind of using that question as this, with this sort of like internal repetition, the way one might use a mantra, right? So in all areas of my life, I started, when I was driving down the street, what is perfect about this moment? In the face of a difficult conversation, what is perfect about this moment? And just all sort of areas, I just started asking that question a lot. And what began to happen was a kind of awakening to the possibility that lives in every single moment. And if you sort of look around at the spiritual teachings that are out there, both ancient and sort of new age thoughts and things, you'll see a pattern that everybody's talking about presence, about being in the present moment. And then, maybe offering practices to help human beings, because for whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be maybe the way that we are when we get perhaps to adulthood. By the time we get to adulthood, we've maybe lost the ability to be totally present in the moment, the way an infant might might have the capacity to do, right? So everybody's talking about this presence thing, and sort of a contemplative way to get into the present moment can be to work with this question. So what is perfect about this moment? And when you ask that question, you start to notice things you may not have noticed. Well, in this moment, what is perfect is the beauty of the light streaming in the window, right? What is perfect is I can really feel my heartbeat. So those are in sort of like peaceful moments. You know, you can, when you're in a state of bliss, that's a really fun question to work with. What is perfect about this moment? And you can notice so many things, from things that are happening externally, always with an awareness of how they're affecting you internally, to just things that are happening internally inside of you, right? So there's that question that can exist in a totally blissful, peaceful moment that can maybe deepen the experience and allow you to access a state of presence that may not be available to you had you not asked the question. And then there is asking that question in more difficult moments, right? So, you know, we're human beings. Every single one of us is going to experience a variation of a variety of difficult moments, you know, and there's a scale to that and a dimension to that. Some are, you know, everyday tough times, and then some are, you know, enormous tragedies. So even in those times, the question can become maybe even more important, maybe even more poignant. So let's say you've been in a car accident and you find yourself in the hospital, laying in the hospital bed. And you might ask in that moment, you know, in the quiet moment, there alone, what is perfect about this moment? And that may wake you up to things you, the blessings that are around you in that moment. You might say, you know what's perfect about this moment is that right now I can press a button and somebody will come and help me. I could say, what is perfect about this moment is that I'm alive. My car may be totaled, but I'm alive. What's perfect about this moment, by virtue of being in the hospital, I've received visits from friends or family that I may not have seen or connected with in a while, or may have received sweet messages, or via phone or text or email or social media, and people I can feel that people care. There's a moment of depth, right? And you could just go on and on and on with this. And there's this beautiful thing that happens is by sort of being in that contemplative process, what is perfect about this moment, you cognitively can sort of like say something, you know. And then when you really allow yourself to feel that thing that you in that moment are noticing for its perfection, if you really allow yourself to feel fully your whole being, experience the totality of that blessing or that brand of perfection in that moment, then you awaken to that experience that so many people are chasing in any moment. What happens in the present moment is like the only thing that's actually happening. What's happening in the present moment is the only thing that's actually happening. That is your life. And it's happening moment to moment, right here, right now, for whatever reason you are watching this video. So we are communing. And that is your choice. And this is your life right now. Whatever you're anticipating might happen tomorrow or in a week or in a month, that's not real. That's a concept. Everything that you're remembering, it's a concept. It's a memory, you know. It's not actually life. It's all just thoughts. But right here and right now, we can ask together, you and I, sitting here, what is perfect about this moment? And maybe for each of us, we can feel it. Like right now, I notice what's perfect about this moment. My heart feels really open. I love sharing this space with you in this super weird way, like through time and space. And like maybe we know each other in person, maybe we haven't ever met each other, but somehow something is happening and something real is happening here. That you and I together in this moment are experiencing real life through time and space. Super weird, super amazing, like wild, So I wanted to offer you that because whenever I discover something that's really meaningful and powerful, as this question has been for me, I like to share it. And so if you find it useful, please use it and try it on. What is perfect about this moment? And I always encourage people, when I give you something like a phrase, something that has words to it, if you need to make any tweaks to those words, it's yours, you're free. You're you're ultimately totally liberated and free. There's no hard line here. There's no rule here. So do your thing, like change the language to make it real and true for you. So I'm hearing a truck outside. And I'm feeling like maybe that's my cue. That is what I have to offer you. I'm wishing you a happy practice with this, and I'll see you in about a weekish.